I'm Jake Sanderson.
I'm Tim Stützle, and you're listening to the Locked On Senators podcast.
You're Locked On Senators, your daily podcast on the Ottawa Senators. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome. You are locked on to the Ottawa Senators, the Postcast, after a 1-0 overtime loss to the Pittsburgh Penguins. The Postcast always brought to you by the Glebe Central Pub. Make sure to check out the GCP where the vibes are free at 779 Bank Street. They've got the Send Shuttle running for almost all the games left this season. You can find their full schedule at glebecentralpub.com, just $17 round trip. I'm Ross Levitan alongside Brandon Piller, and Jack Richardson will be joining us very shortly. We have a boots on the ground report tonight from Pittsburgh. Jack, another Jack, Jack squared. Forget Pillsy squared. How about Jack squared? Another Jack will be joining us a little bit later on from PPG Paints Arena to break down a disappointing effort when you're losing out on an Anton Forsberg brilliant showcase.
Yeah, I mean, disappointing for sure, but I think getting that point is crucial. I'm glad they didn't let things slip away in regulation because, Ross, as long as they keep finding ways to accumulate points, I think it's highly likely this team is going to make the playoffs. So, although I would have loved 2 points here, I don't feel bad about giving Pittsburgh 2 points, and Ottawa collects the one. A great game by Forsberg, and on the second half of a back-to-back where you also have to travel, and I'd be curious to know if the ice storm and the crazy weather in Eastern Ontario affected the Ottawa Senators' travel as well, because it was wild here last night, as everybody knows. So the fact that they get this to overtime, a 1-0 loss, disappointing, but I'm not that upset about it. Like, I don't feel like this is going to be a complete vent cast here tonight.
No, not at all. And you mentioned it. Getting that 1 point is huge. It's obviously frustrating how it went down. There was the back and forth between Artem Zub and Sidney Crosby. Sure, give them both two. Benefits Ottawa actually having those two off at the same time. But then to call that penalty, they called it a hook. And Sidney Crosby, one of the best players in NHL history, went down like he was at an NHL tryout at summer skates. I felt like he went down pretty easily on that one. And 4-on-3 in overtime. We saw it earlier this season when Patrick Kane scored the winner with Detroit against Ottawa. A 4-on-3 power play in overtime. It's basically like a 5-on-3 in regular time.
Yeah, definitely. A 4-on-3, there's so much ice and space, and that extra man just is so advantageous. So, yeah, I don't think I'm as charged up on the reffing as you and Jack are, Ross, but that call where Sidney Crosby goes down very easily, I had a problem with that one for sure. Well, him and Zub going off, I didn't really have a big issue with that. But that last one, that late in the game on that weak of a touch, and a strong player like Sidney Crosby, everybody knows the strength that guy has. For him to go down like that, that felt a little cheap to me.
It did. And then, I mean, Ottawa still had their chances, right? During the 4-on-4, Shane Pinto hits the outside of the post on a breakaway. And then in overtime, Jake Sanderson gets a rush in all alone. He hits the post. It was a 1-on-1, him and Erik Karlsson, kind of poetic, the two best defensemen. I'll say it, the two best defensemen in Senators history when it's all said and done. They're going head-to-head, and Jake Sanderson rips one off the outside of the post. I think I'm mostly disappointed that we didn't get to use the Tristan Jarry clip once tonight. Got to give stick taps where it's due. Tristan Jarry makes a 31-save shutout in this game, but Forsberg was just as good. That overtime power play, the difference. Sidney Crosby, one-timer. And you got to rewind the tape a little bit on that one. The play that Erik Karlsson made behind the net as he was falling to stick it right back to the point and keep that offensive zone possession was pretty impressive.
Yeah, and I mean, we know Carl certainly isn't the same Karlsson when he was in the nation's capital, but he's still got it. He's still got the hockey IQ. He still racks up the points. He's still an absolute beast on the power play, and he gets the primary assist, teeing up Crosby huge there. But Ross, for me, this game, the biggest moment and opportunity was that Pinto breakaway you referenced. I was sitting on the couch. Pinto got away. I stood up and I was like, yes, finally, it's over. And then he does the deke, beats Jarry, and hits the post. That was a head in my palms moment, and I was just like, no, come on. Like, that was it right there, because then you go up 1-0. Hopefully you get the empty netter and you close this thing out with only a little bit of time left in the game. So that for me was the most frustrating moment, where the Ottawa Senators weren't able to finish. I mean, I'm not going to fault Pinto there. He does a great job to get a couple steps on the defender. He makes the right move, just hits the post. But that was the one where I was like, okay, finally this scoring drought is going to be over.
It wasn't. You could say scoring drought for Fabian Zetterlund too. Did everything but score in this game. He's going to get his. It's going to
6 shots tonight.
Bizla literally just said it right there too.
Yeah.
I'm with Bizla. Like, that chemistry that him and Tim Stützle have is unreal. There were a couple plays where you're like, oh, how do you know he was there? Wow, pretty impressive. So, hey, 3-point weekend, Pillsy. We'll take it. Senators won't have to deal with these Penguins in the playoffs, as they'll be booking tee times here shortly. But for Ottawa, it's just about stacking points. Continue to have them come your way. And Ottawa now has 84 points on the season. They are 7 clear of the final playoff spot. 2-way tie now between the Canadiens and the New York Rangers. Like, there's a 7-point gap between Ottawa and being out of a playoff spot. There's also a 7-point gap between Ottawa and Tampa and Florida, who are tied for second in the Atlantic Division. That's how good the Sens have put themselves in a position here. And the month of March has been incredible. I think they're 10-3-2 now in March. So it sucks not scoring. It sucks losing to Pittsburgh, obviously a team Ottawa's had their battles with in the past. I just can't believe that the Pittsburgh Penguins, of course it was Sidney Crosby that scored, because every time the Penguins had possession in Ottawa's end, it felt like Sidney Crosby was in the middle of it. There were guys like Rutger McGroarty in the third period. I was like, oh, Rutger McGroarty's playing in this game? I felt that way about a few other guys on their team too. Like, that's Sidney Crosby and a bunch of guys. And obviously it's Sidney Crosby. You could say Erik Karlsson too. Obviously Malkin's not playing. He's a pretty good player still, but just frustrating to lose to a team that's on the outside looking in and not scoring a single goal. But not one that we're going to remember for too long. You flush it, you get home, and you get ready for the hottest team in the Eastern Conference, the Buffalo Sabres, coming to town.
Yeah. Oh, man, that's going to be an interesting one. We'll get to that one later on in the week on Locked On Senators. But yeah, I don't know. People in the chat, let us know how you're feeling. I'm not that upset about this one. Like, mildly disappointed is how I would put this one. And the fact that there's a 7-point spread each way is kind of where you want to be if you're the Sens, Ross. Unfortunately, I think I'm kind of done with looking upwards. And I'm not even looking downwards that much either. I'm just hanging out, looking at what's ahead here, because I'm not too concerned about the Ottawa Senators moving up or down. I think most likely scenario is they stay right where they are, and I don't have a single issue with that.
As Kevin says, the whole day's been meh. Like, this is a fine cast. It was a fine game. I fell asleep 10 times in the second period. It felt like they were lulling it to bed, but that's kind of a perfect strategy for Ottawa in this game. Of course, they couldn't convert on their opportunities, but when you're playing 2 games in less than 24 hours, it's how can you just do enough on the road with travel to get points, and they were able to get a point tonight in this game. We got Sen Central standouts. We got our boots on the ground report. Jack's got some internet issues, which is probably better to have it now than when you had it last night. We'll touch on that mayhem that was last night's postcast a little bit later on, and just got the note from Jack saying the internet's just not working for him right now. So this is our 100th postcast, Pilsy, you and I together. We'll continue it on the other side. First, let me tell you that the postcast is always brought to you by the Glebe Central Pub. Check them out at 779 Bank Street. Every Saturday, live music at the Glebe Central Pub. They've also got the Send Shuttle. The next shuttle will go April 3rd. Senators taking on the Tampa Bay Lightning on Thursday. They've also got a shuttle for the Saturday game against the Florida Panthers. Montreal on April 11th, April 15th against Chicago, and the season finale against the Carolina Hurricanes on April 17th. The shuttle leaves an hour and 15 minutes before puck drop, gets you there with plenty of time. Sue is the best driver rolling, and she will make sure you get back in one piece. Bus leaves 15 minutes after the final buzzer. So go to where the vibes are free at the GCP. You can find the Glebe Central Pub at 779 Bank Street. And when you go there, let them know that Locked On Senators sent you. You'll get 10% off your order on Senators game days at the Glebe Central Pub. The GCP, where the vibes are free.
This episode is also brought to you by our friends over at FanDuel. March Madness is here. It's rolling along, and FanDuel is giving you the chance to get in on the action like never before. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. That's 200 extra bucks to use on everything from buzzer beaters to Cinderella stories and even who's cutting down the nets after the games. I've been looking at the underdogs, even though it's been a lot of favorites this year. But FanDuel makes it easy to get back on track with spreads, totals, and game props. Tournament games were happening fast and almost every day, so there was a lot of excitement for you to bet on, and the FanDuel app is simple to use. And when you win, you get paid instantly. Those green numbers, those trophies hitting your account real quick. And you guys are going to want to stay in on the action as the Ottawa Senators finish off the rest of this season. So visit FanDuel.com to get in on all the college hoops action all tournament long and Ottawa Senators hockey. It's FanDuel.com.
Welcome back to the Postcast. I'm Ross Levitan alongside Brandon Piller. We will have a Jack on the Postcast. It just won't be Jack Richardson. It'll be Jack Range, who's going to join us from Pittsburgh in the next couple of minutes. Let's go down the scoring summary. It'll be a quick one tonight between the Ottawa Senators and Pittsburgh Penguins. Sens lose 1-0 on an overtime power play goal from Sidney Crosby. The assists go to Erik Karlsson and Ricard Raquel. For Sidney Crosby, it's his 27th goal of the season. And I'm curious, how does Erik Karlsson fare against the Ottawa Senators? In Karlsson's career against Ottawa, he's played 12 games. Tonight was his 7th assist. He has no goals, and he is a -6 in those 13 now games. Forgot to add one there. Let's head to Pittsburgh, where we find Jack, who watched this game. Jack, what's up, man? Thanks for joining us.
Welcome to the Locked On Senators podcast.
Let's
Your
go.
only daily podcast covering the Sens.
There we go.
This is your boost on the ground report, Jack Range.
Jack, you're coming for my job, buddy. How you doing?
What's up, guys?
Great chatting with you, man. It's unfortunate you had to pick a game where they're coming off the first half of back-to-back with travel and everything. But how'd you find the boys played? You had a great view of tonight's game.
Hey, a point's a point, boys. That's the bottom line. Back-to-back is tough, and getting the point, we're happy with that.
Now, was there any point, Jack, where you thought the Sens were going to break this one open?
Yeah, they had a lot of opportunities close to the net that we thought they were going to get through, but at the end of the day, we're happy with the point, and it was a fun atmosphere tonight. I just love living here, love talking bad to the Penguins fans. We were telling them all night, you'll be playing golf, we'll be playing in the playoffs. So that was fun.
Yeah, I was just looking it up. They haven't won a series since 2018. Now, I mean, they won 2 cups the years before that, but that feels like a wasted second part of the career for Sidney Crosby. Was there much chirping going on in the stands nearby where you were tonight?
I mean, we were sitting in a spot where we've sat before, so we kind of knew the people around us. But at the end of the day, every time we go out, it was just talking like, you know what, you guys will be playing golf and we'll be hanging out in the playoffs.
So if you're in Pittsburgh, how'd you become an Ottawa Senators fan, Jack?
So I moved to Ottawa when I was 5. I'm 36 now. So we moved to Ottawa. My parents live in Carp, so right near the CTC.
Yep.
And been a Sens fan since I've been 5 years old. So we moved around a lot. And, I went to the only Stanley Cup game that we won against the Ducks back in 2007. I lived here when we lost in Game 7 in double OT, which was very tough, but it was a fun night tonight. We got a point. At the end of the day, it was a back-to-back, so we're thrilled with it.
And I think I'm going to put some low-hanging fruit on the vine here for you. Who was your Sen Central standout in tonight's game?
Yeah, so I've been thinking about this, and, we watched the game, but I really want to give props this year to Travis Green. I know this is kind of off the beaten path, but the coaches that we've had and the job that he's done this year, I want to give him his props. I think he's done a great job. But Zetterlund is all over it.
Yep.
He's close. He's all over it. And I think eventually I saw an interview where he's like, you know what? I'm more concerned with the team which is awesome. But at the end of the day, he's gonna get through the net, and I think in the playoffs he's gonna play a big part. Here's my
I
brother
love
here.
that. Hey,
Come
let's
on.
go.
Yeah,
There we go.
Let's
Yeah.
go. Hey, let's get a Send Central standout from him. Who do you like tonight?
Oh, come on, man. I'm a big Brady Tkachuk fan.
Can't swear.
He is outrageous. He's always on. He's a competitor through and through. He is the heart of this team. He is what makes this team go. So I'm a big Tkachuk fan.
Were you nervous tonight when he went down at the end of the second period?
Always. But, I mean, Tkachuk always stands up, man. So you can't get...
When we knew it was in the face, we knew he'd be back. No problem. As long as it
Long
wasn't
way
a
from the
lower
heart.
body, we knew he'd be all right.
Yeah, I love that. So let me follow up with this, Jack, because I'm curious your thoughts about Travis Green. What is it about him that you've really appreciated so far this year?
I think he's made a conscious effort this year to make sure that defense is first, right? That we're going to protect. Obviously, getting a big time goalie has been a big change.
Yeah.
But I think that he's really said defense first, and then we'll worry about scoring. And we all know this team can score. A couple things, when we got Dylan Cousins, I was surprised. I didn't know how that was going to go over in the locker room, but like you guys have said, and I've listened, and you in your podcast, like it has revamped Drake Batherson's year this year. I think he's done really, really well on that line, and they've been really strong. So I've been happy about that. And then I think Shane Pinto's the most underrated player that we have on our team. I think he's phenomenal. I think he's going to be really, really good in the next coming years. And just really pumped to see what happens. Me and H were talking. We're either going to Florida or we're going to Ottawa. Either way, we're going to a playoff game, and we're really, really excited for it.
Hey, well, you mentioned Florida and Ottawa there, but there's a couple of other potential matchups. I think it's pretty clear the Sens are going to stick in that wild card spot, Jack. But of all the potential matchups, who are you looking at first? Who are you eyeing the most? Is it Toronto, Florida, or Tampa?
Come here, Toronto.
We want to play the Leafs. We want to play the Leafs, and we'll go home for that. But if not, if we have to play one of the Florida teams, we'll go down to Florida and play an away game, play a little golf, play a little hockey, and have a good time. But yeah, I mean, either way, I think the Battle of Ontario is what everybody wants, and
Yeah.
I think they are absolutely terrified to play us, to be honest.
Me too.
So if they get us, good luck.
Oh, I love that. Fired me right up. Jack, keep us in touch when you're going to your next game. We'll get you on for another Boots on the Ground report, man. This was awesome.
Boys, I appreciate it a lot. You guys do a great job, and hopefully we'll talk to you in the playoffs.
You certainly will, Jack. There goes Jack Range. You can follow him on Twitter. What a beauty that was. I love these. Jack Range 78. You can find him on Twitter. Love that, and love that we were able to put a smile after an overtime loss where the Senators get a point, but it does end with a Sidney Crosby OT winner. Jack brought up Travis Green as a big reason why the Ottawa Senators are where they are in the standings. So let's hear from the head coach following tonight's game.
Some gratification taking the point at least in this one.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was obvious we didn't have a lot of juice. You could see, our game wasn't as sharp as it was last night, but we found a way to get a big point.
Emotionally, last night you had a solid game, and it was an emotional game as well.
It was.
They're tough to carry that over back to back.
A little bit, yeah, for sure. I thought, the Detroit game, this game, two big emotional games, and we've done a pretty good job in back-to-backs, and played a hungry team tonight, and could have gone either way, but Forsberg gave us a hell of a game in net, and we had our looks. It's good hockey.
Highlighted in the past the depth that's kind of out there through the line combinations. Just what did you see 1 through 4 out there tonight?
Yeah, like I said, I thought our team didn't quite have the jump in our legs. I didn't think our passing was as sharp, and a lot of that is from fatigue, but give our team credit. Played hard tonight.
What did you see from Anton Forsberg in goal tonight?
Yeah, he was great. He had an awesome game.
Yes, he did. Anton Forsberg, brilliant in goal, but the Ottawa Senators fall to the Pittsburgh Penguins. Pillsy, on the other side, we'll get to our Send Central standouts, and we'll touch on last night's mayhem in the postcast. You're listening to Locked On Senators, your team every day. Welcome back to the Postcast. I'm Ross Levitan alongside Brandon Piller. Figure it's a great time to mention we do have a few opportunities for advertising this postseason. So if you're looking to get some name out there, or if you have a great deal that you want to share with Ottawa and Senators fans, you can reach out to us through our contact info on our YouTube page. The citizens have been so supportive here of not only us, but the great partners we have at the Glebe Central Pub, Farm to Four, Club EG. The list goes on, and we can't thank everybody enough for making us a part of your daily routine. I'm with Jack. I think that the Battle of Ontario would be fantastic, but you got to get there, and 1 point closer the Ottawa Senators are after how tonight's game ended. A sleepy Sunday, we'll call it, Billsy. I think I just got so comfortable winning the second half of back-to-backs, especially we know in January they had those 3 weekends in a row where they won both of them. They cleaned up house, and now the Senators are 7-4-2 on the second half of back-to-back games this year. That in itself should be applauded. I don't even think they have another back-to-back left this year, do they?
They got one more, but I believe they're both home games. Let me check. Yeah, they are. It's against Florida and Columbus on the 5th and 6th next weekend. Okay. Both matinee games.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. And Ross, I'd be interested too that's an impressive back-to-back record, because I think at least a handful of those involve travel. So it's not easy when you're on the second half of back-to-back and you've had to travel. So that's very impressive for this team.
Maxime makes a great point, though. It's disappointing. They've wasted 2 shutouts this year. This is the second time this season they've lost a 1-0 overtime game. The other one was where Alex Ovechkin scores the winner against Ottawa in, I believe it was January, that game, or it might even been before the new year, but earlier on in the season. So the 2 1-0 games in overtime the Sens have lost this year are to the 2 greatest players of this generation, Ovechkin earlier and then Sidney Crosby today.
It'll happen. Yeah, it's disappointing, but if you're going to get beat, you don't feel so bad when it's those guys.
No, you don't. Pilsy, your Sen Central standout tonight's game. We were left with the low-hanging fruit as Jack Range went with both Travis Green, Fabian Zetterlund. I actually like those picks. And then you look at his brother had Brady Tkachuk, just a Brady Tkachuk super fan, and we appreciate the heck out of that here on the show. But I'll leave it for you, Pilsy. Hashtag goalie-friendly show.
Hey, Ross, as Jeff Merrick likes to say, low-hanging fruit is still delicious and nutritious, so I'll take a bite out of this easy one. Anton Forsberg is my pick. I feel like I've been a Forsberg supporter more than most Sens fans have these days, and it was nice to see him have a good game where unanimously every single Sens fan is proud of his performance and has nothing, or at least I better not see a damn word wrong about Anton Forsberg in this one. He finishes this game with 34 saves on 35 shots, a .971 save percentage. And Ross, I highlighted a bunch of Forsy's saves, but I think the biggest one was in the third period. Letang slap shot, Forsberg made the save, and a huge rebound to Sidney Crosby, and he one-times that rebound, and Forsy slid over and made a big blocker save. The Penguins were really making an effort to get low shots in and get those rebounds. And when you're a goalie and that's what they're doing, there's not a whole lot you can do. That puck's going to be bouncing off those pillows, and you got to just find yourself in good position and reading the play and getting over and getting square to the next shooter. But he did a good job of making that first save, not panicking, moving over smoothly and getting in position to make that second save. So arguably this was Forsberg's best game of the season. I think I can't even
the Seattle shutout. Remember they got peppered in the first period.
Yeah, but this was a complete good game. And I mean, sure, the Seattle one was a shutout, but I really thought Forsberg played amazing. So if not his best game, Ross, certainly his second best all-time Forsy performance.
Dude, in the third period, that one sequence where it was a deflection from the point by Carlson, back to him. Another great opportunity, another even better save. I just felt like he was so positionally sound in tonight's game. He wasn't too active in the crease, and it really helped them earn a point in this game. The out-of-town scoreboard, I don't even know. I'm not watching it as closely as I was, Pilsy. The Senators are just making themselves runaway favorites with the first spot. Now, there are still some huge games left. You look at the Montreal game, if it still matters as much by then, that's April 11th. So lots of time between now and then. But the Columbus games, Columbus is now 9 points behind them. They do have a game in hand, though. So that win against Columbus yesterday, I mean, if you could have drawn up one of them to get this weekend in regulation, that was the one. And Ottawa still comes out of here with 3 points in 4 games, or 3 points out of a possible 4 on the back-to-back. So the Islanders lost in regulation, so they stayed down. Montreal did double up the Panthers 4-2 in this game. I think the out-of-town scoreboard, what kind of shocked or surprised me the most was to see the Buffalo Sabres put up 8 goals on the Washington Capitals. And we'll have time to preview that game up until Tuesday night. No Josh Norris still. We'll see if he's available for when they come home. Like, imagine the Senators were in this position and didn't have Cousins and Norris was hurt again. Like,
yeah. You'd be in trouble. It'd be the classic Senators problem where they're missing one of Norris or Pinto, and then the rest of the lineup doesn't shake up properly. And Ross, sticking on the out-of-town scoreboard here, though, the Habs winning, this puts me in a tough spot, but I think that's kind of what we wanted because as we heard our guy Jack say, as most Sens fans are saying, the Leafs are certainly, without a doubt, the preferred opponent when it comes to Toronto, Tampa, or Florida. So keeping Florida down and allowing Toronto to stay at the top of the Atlantic Division ultimately is probably best for the Ottawa Senators. Sure, you don't want to see Montreal make it, but if they're not going to pass you or bump you out, you got to kind of say, whatever, let them do what they want. Let's focus on our own situation here. So ultimately, that Habs win actually is kind of a good thing.
Oh, I guess.
Or I'll spin zone it that way.
We're cheering against the Ducks tonight. Like, are we getting to that point where we're actively rooting for the Leafs to win the division so we get this matchup?
I think so. Like, people in the chat, let me know if you think we're crazy here, but I think that is the right way because we know how Florida handles the Ottawa Senators, and we know that that's a team that knows how to get it done in the playoffs. And Tampa, same thing. They certainly don't have Ottawa's number as bad as the Panthers do, in my opinion, but that's a team that knows how to get it done in the playoffs, and they bolstered themselves up big time with some additions at the deadline.
So what we're watching out of this game is the health of Brady Tkachuk. Obviously came back in the third period, seemed like he was all good, but it's something we're going to be monitoring after another stretch where they play 4 games in 6 days. Like they are going almost every other night, sometimes every night right now. So we'll be watching for Brady Tkachuk, who finished this game with 15 minutes, 41 seconds played, 3 shots, 3 hits as well. Some other notable stats tonight. I thought it was notable that Thomas Chabot had 5 block shots and 4 hits in this game. Thought he was a little hesitant with the puck at times, but overall, great performance defensively for Thomas Chabot. 6 shots on goal each for both Fabian Zetterlund and Drake Batherson. Ridley Gregg had 4 shots, 2 hits, but unfortunately was assessed that soft penalty with just 3 seconds remaining in regulation in this game. My Sen Central standout tonight, and maybe he didn't factor in on the score sheet, but I just thought Tim Stützle was dancing tonight, and Fabian Zetterlund was already taken. I thought Stützle had his legs, which you couldn't say about a whole lot of Ottawa Senators. 2 hits, no shots on goal, though, which is becoming a bit of a trend here sometimes with Tim Stützle not wanting to shoot the puck. But I thought Timmy had overall a noticeable game, I'll say, out there. It was a night where not a whole lot of guys had their legs, and we already had about 4 other standouts. So I'll just go with Tim Stützle in tonight's game. All right, so it's a 1-0 loss in overtime, but a point is a point is a point, and the Ottawa Senators get one on the second half back-to-back. Pilsy, take us through what the heck happened in last night's postcast.
I mean, yeah, it was that was a first for sure. I was mentioning, Ross, we've had times where the power's gone out on either you or me during the podcast, but that's not really a big deal. You just edit that out, come back when the power's on, and people don't even know. With the edits, you wouldn't even know what happened. But on live TV or live streaming, you got to roll with the punches and anything could happen. The lights were flickering on me a little, so I was a little nervous it was going to happen, but the power hadn't gone out yet, so I was confident. And then, yep, we had our boots on the ground report, a wild one at that, a full vehicle of rowdy Sens fans, and my power went. I was frozen on the screen, and Captain Jack had to take the helm and steer this ship with no ability to mute, remove people, to end the stream, to do anything. So he's just a sitting duck there in the ocean navigating by himself. But Jack did an amazing job. I rewatched the parts where I missed after the postcast. And yeah, here's that moment on the screen of double Pillsy here as I left one of my screens to join another one, and that caused that moment. But all-time crazy moment. For the people that were there live, I think that was best because you got to really see the chaos unfold. And Jack had no clue what was going on. I was messaging the group on Twitter trying to inform him of what was going on. And producer Ross had to come in from the shadows and control things. And it was a wild one, but that's what makes this fun, and I'm glad so many people got a kick out of that because I don't think we'll have that happen again, or at least I hope not. It was fun to happen once, but it was chaotic.
Amazing theater, though, and that is live production right there. Appreciate everybody for riding with us, win or lose. We'll have an episode for you bright and early. I'm recording 5:45 Pacific time tomorrow morning because we've got a great interview already planned. A lot of people have been asking, how do we get playoff tickets if the Senators are able to clinch? Well, we'll have the answer. Brendan Duval, Vice President of Ticketing with the Ottawa Senators, will swing by and we'll set up another crucial week for the Ottawa Senators as the march to Game 82 and beyond continues. For Brandon Piller, I'm Ross Levitan. Shout out to Jack Ranger for a great boots on the ground report tonight from Pittsburgh. We'll be back tomorrow with another episode of the Locked On Senators podcast. For now, we say goodbye. This has been the Postcast presented by the Locked On Senators podcast and the Glebe Central Pub. Check them out, 779 Bank Street, and let them know that Locked On Senators sent you.